All right, Chris, I think the best place to start is with an intro of who you are, what you got going on, and kind of just past history of what you've been up to.
Awesome. Thanks for having me on. My name is Chris Marrano. I am the founder of Blue Water Marketing and AdIQ. I've had the agency since 2017, so coming up on 9 years in November. And it's been a long journey, but I would say the last couple of years has been just a massive pivot with the changes in technology and focusing specifically on e-commerce, tariffs and margins and conversion rates on Meta decreasing over the last 12 months. Like I would say the last couple of years has been really kind of a get back down to the foundation and how do we properly use this new technology to stay on top of things.
Right, right. And like for those listening to, like Chris, we'll get into it, but Chris is pretty cracked when it comes to this AI stuff.
Yeah.
What first got you into AI?
Yeah, so I spoke in Miami about this. I was at a conference in, I think it was Nashville in 2023, I believe, 2024, with Ashton Shanks. He was one of the speakers, and he was like, everybody who's in this room, an agency owner, here's what's coming, and you should know about it because if you don't start looking into this, you're probably going to go out of business. And out of the 100 or 200 agency owners there, Ash and I had become close friends, and I bid onto that and believed him and still do. And that's what really got me started on the whole AI front was that one conference. And I was like, man, I think this guy is right.
When it comes to the agency, just like a broad approach before kind of diving deeper, what are you currently using AI for at the moment?
Yes, so in the easiest answer, everything. Very broad stroke, I know. But over the last 12 months, I mean, we have built creative strategist agents, graphic design agents, Meta, Facebook ads, media buyer agents, data warehousing, so that data is actually stored somewhere without API calls, video editing. When I say everything, I mean, I have a whole finance dashboard for the agency now built in, with AI. When I say everything, I truly mean it. The only thing I don't have is one of those cool Instagram videos that says, "Hey Jarvis, turn on my system."
Yeah. Yeah, the Jarvis videos for sure.
Yeah, exactly. I just don't have Jarvis.
Right.
But more than, pretty much tried it all, stuck with the things that have worked, and it's continuing to build.
Lovely. Okay. Walk me through, you obviously have ad IQ,
Yep.
identifying kind of the ads process. Just for some insight, because obviously people want to build SaaS right now or some type of application. What kind of insight or just some pro tips or just walk us through your experience of doing that?
Yeah, I mean, I would say this of all the industries right now, the online marketing business world is probably becoming extremely disrupted by AI, but right next to that, if not leading the charge, is SaaS. Like we were just talking about before hopping on, Airtable was just acquired a couple weeks ago at the time of this recording. 3 years ago, they had a valuation of an 11x. They exited at a 2.4x, right? So
Just nuts.
Airtable is used by I think I read 80 out of the top 100 Fortune 100 companies. So you're talking about infrastructure that spans all economy, all industries in the Fortune 100, and they exited at a 2.4x. So I think SaaS is extremely disruptive. My whole belief system on what I want my SaaS to be has pivoted from I want to get investors, I want to get valuations, I want to exit for $100 million. That more than likely is not going to happen just based on where things are in the market right now. Everyone talking about the AI bubble.
Right.
Cash is drying up across the board. So my idea is positive cash flow. And
Yeah.
I think being in the online marketing business world, it's like Lamborghinis and exits and all this stuff. And it's like, hey, if you actually have a business that cash flows positively, you know,
So
20,
you're
30
winning.
grand, like that's a win.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
So for people getting into SaaS, unless you have a unicorn, which my friend did, my friend just raised $200 million. Like they have a unicorn. Great. But for the average people who are just cloud coding your midnight idea,
Right.
I would say maybe you can figure out how to be more effective with these tools than trying to build a SaaS.
Right. Okay. Okay. And like, walk me through vibe coding, because obviously that was, I think, like a lot of people are waking up to the fact where, you know, sure we can vibe code something, but it's just going to be good. Like, it's not going to be of top tier quality potentially.
Yep.
Like a while again, like a few months back, it was like vibe code. We can again change the world with vibe coding. And then I think a lot of people now are like, oh, maybe not. When you were trying to build out at IQ, what was your thought process there, and what is it like now?
I had the same thought process. Oh, I'll be able to vibe code this app. This is going to be the best thing ever. The idea of it now is it's not that easy, right? Like, yes,
Right.
you can build a beautiful front end with Cloud Code or Lovable or any of these, really. But when you start having to understand how to make API calls effectively and endpoints and post points, all these different, like the complexity is massive. And then data security and RLS security in your database, and how do you make sure that Stripe is charging correctly to different people on different tiers? Like that is a whole different understanding of vibe coding. Vibe coding, yes, you can build something. Will it work? Probably not. Are you going to pass the meta approval process? Most likely not, because it took us
Right.
3 months to do it, and we know what we're doing.
Yeah.
So I think, and there's a psychologist, or I'm going to butcher this, but it's the something curve, Dunning-Kruger curve or something, where it's
Yeah.
like you start to learn something and you're like, oh, I'm an expert at this. And then you realize like to become an expert in that, it's going to take a ton of work, which is why everybody stops learning how to play guitar after they learn Enter Sandman. You're like, all right, this
Yeah.
is way harder than I thought it was going to be. And people give up. And so that is what the vibe coding is. Like you actually have to know what you're doing to be able to bring something into production and like have a user base.
Yeah, that's well said. Even I was talking to Stefan George a while back. He's building Stefan Brain, and he spends 6 figures a month. And he's like, again, it's like, yeah, he's looking for developers. It's not just, hey, we're gonna sit in a corner, vibe code together.
Yeah, correct. Like we brought in a CTO who knew how to do things correctly and catch the bugs and the flaws. Because if you're just telling Claude Code how I want to do this, like it's going to do it for you. It's going to gaslight you. It's going to say it's done perfectly. But then when you go to try to test it or actually launch it live, it just breaks.
Right. It's not as, yeah, it's not what we think it will be.
Correct.
Unfortunately, which again could just be the hype, right, of the market potentially. Right. We
No
were
question.
chatting before this. We were chatting before this, kind of like, hey, I think things are kind of pivoting, just with perspective on AI and stuff. But so let's kind of talk about the agency in the e-com space. So obviously you have even like a lot of top tier brands are now starting to use AI with the ads process and stuff. You have Ad IQ there. What are you kind of seeing on the e-com space as an agency owner? Like, is pricing now kind of changing because people are like, well, hey, do I need to be paying historic fees when I now have these tools? Do you see like you and other people you chat with, like, is that changing?
I would say collectively of a number of people I know in the industry, it's been a really rough year. I haven't had any pushback on pricing.
Oh, okay.
I think I'm also priced in a place that it would be hard to push back on. Like, we're not doing 8-figure contracts,
Right.
or 5-figure contracts. I mean, so our pricing model is a little bit different. But I would say that people are starting to question, why is there a need for an agency? Because of every Instagram reel or TikTok that goes viral on like how to use Claude Code to run your own ads.
Right.
The argument I have on a scenario like that is simply, I have a decade of running ads in my brain that Claude Code, which was trained on general knowledge, doesn't know how to build out a bid cap ladder effectively at $50,000 a day or $10,000 a day, and doesn't know the criteria necessarily to manage that kind of ad spend. Mine does, because it has all of the agent knowledge baked in from all of my SOPs from literally 8 years of running ads with the agency. But it's, even just making API calls to Meta, how many people do we see get banned commenting on all these? Oh, I took your advice. You're an idiot because my account's banned and I can't get it back.
Right.
So it's like there are so many scripts that you have to run effectively and correctly to Meta to get these things done. And if those scripts aren't correct, you're going to get flagged. And if you're doing it 17 times a day with the incorrect API calls, they're going to ban your ad account.
Right.
So I think it's changing quickly. And e-commerce is probably the front runner of that, because like we were talking about, like e-com, like these guys are internet guys. Like they created internet businesses and they ship things to people. Whereas like plumbers are plumbers. They are not, they don't know how to run. Like most of our clients, my clients, like they've ran Facebook ads by themselves until they got too big where they had other responsibilities. And so I think that's the shift in the e-com world, is like most of these guys are paying agencies to get to the next tier because they have too much on their plate now.
Yeah, extremely well said. There's two sides to it, right? Because it's like AI, there's a tremendous leverage there. Unfortunately, when you're on the other side of it, it sucks, right? But you're okay, well, maybe we can leverage it, right? Which I think, again, all industries are feeling the same thing. Like if I'm a tech company right now, even like Anthropic themselves, the biggest one, I'm like, if I'm Dario, I'm like, I'm kind of scared here. Because eventually, how are we going to be able to price at $100 when this thing's like dollars?
Yeah, when Kimi comes out, or DeepSeek releases their new model, or GLM 5.2 just came out, we started swapping our agents out to that because it's so much cheaper.
Right. So where would you say the value still lies?
The perfect example I have for that is a call I was on yesterday with a client, and that client is in a pretty affluent e-commerce community, right, with mentors and different things to help with fulfillment or logistics, or they're in a group they can go for help when they don't know what to do. And so he asked me to get on a call with a media buyer as a mentor, just to kind of look at the ad account, strategize some different things. The value is that we established that a 7-day attribution window with view through and click was misleading us from an attribution perspective based on the ROAS targets, because engaged view was really delivering a lower performance than a 7-day click, no engaged view. And so that took me, who's a really good media buyer, and him to come to this conclusion based on looking at all these numbers and their AMER and their financials to establish, hey, we should switch up all of our settings here to be 7-day click, no view, no engage view at all. And so that is where Claude Code would never do that unless it was prompted by someone like me to be like, hey, I want you to look at these different attribution settings and these different view through settings to establish where our baseline should or should not be. And then it's like, oh, that's a great catch. But it's never going to come to us with that information unless it's prompted. And so the expertise comes from people who know what they're doing and using this tool, opposed to somebody who has no idea what they're doing, the tool is going to lead them astray almost every time.
Right. Okay. So if I'm hearing you right, obviously strategy still pays.
Everything.
Right. Which, yeah, I believe, like, I'm starting to come more to that too. Again, when everyone starts waking up, you go, well, the strategy still matters. Again, it's just like kind of employees, right? The CEO, kind of, you would assume at the beginning stages of this being CEO, you know the most, right? You're kind of the boss. And then you have your employees kind of do the work for you, right? So I always just I tell a lot of people, it's like, yeah, you're the strategy, right? You're at the top. And then you're kind of just delegating off to AI or whatever.
Listen, Claude Code is phenomenal at launching campaigns. Drop a folder onto your desktop or have your ClickUp attachments in your ClickUp space. Tell it, launch these ads with these settings under this thing with this naming convention, and it's perfect. But when it comes to really understanding how to effectively look at all these numbers to understand what to do, like that, the strategy part, like you said, that is the missing piece from these tools.
Right. Okay.
Just right now.
Yes. Yeah. Preface right now. Yes, of course. Yes. And okay, so yes, obviously you don't really want to be screwing around with the ad account when you're spending, 5,000, a few thousand, 10,000 or whatever per day kind of thing, or whatever per month, whatever. So yeah, that's when you would, I guess, still hire something like that out.
Yep.
Come to Chris Marrano to get things fixed.
Well, and like I've spoken with a lot of my clients about it, I think at the end of the day, as entrepreneurs, no matter what industry you're in, there's a level of like loneliness, right? Or there's a level of like you have all these ideas on your head. If you have an agency who's been through it, worked with other brands who can, there's something to be said about the consultation or the conversations that can come out of your reporting calls or your strategy calls. They're like, oh man, that's a great idea. Like, let's execute on that.
Right.
And instead of just being a Facebook ads person, right? Because I think that in itself as a role will be gone sooner than later, if not already.
Right,
like
right.
You have to know creative strategy. You have to know finances. You have to know these things. You're not just launching ads anymore.
Yeah. It's more holistic now.
Yeah.
Even Stephen George, who was saying like he's hiring a lot of creative strategists, like his people in his his pro mastermind, where like now you do hear the term creative strategist, right? And it's like, well, how do you go about, exactly creating this marketing material that's going to convert? It's not just, and I think too, which you'll know, but I think historically it was siloed too, right? You had the media buyer, then you had the creative, like it was just department after department. I guess that's every industry. But now you're just seeing it really, especially in a few industries, like really come together where you're like, dude, this one guy is going to do it all for you.
Yeah.
Right. Or he's going to, if you hire a really cracked out A player, it's like he'll do the media buying, he'll do the creative, he'll do, plus AI, my goodness, you're freaking running now.
Correct.
Exactly. For someone who does have skill in a particular field, how much of a multiple do you think having AI with him, like how much of a leverage do you think it gives him? Like, I mean, for you, for instance, like you are like if we're running a race here, you're like sprinting. Like you're almost like riding a bike and everyone else is kind of like jogging along.
Yeah. I mean, I think it's an immense advantage.
Right.
Like, I think you have to have it. I mean, these days, I would say one of the biggest challenges I have in the forward thinking of my business is like, what does hiring look like now? Right? Because I need somebody who understands how Facebook ads from a numbers perspective works. I need somebody who understands creative strategy, but really I need somebody who knows how to use Claude Code and the agentic workflows that we've built to do their job better.
Right.
And so it's this hybrid now AI creative strategist. Like, I don't, what does that title look like now? And then the question is like, well, why do I need to hire anybody based on the AIs that we've built? I just need someone manning the system. And so I think that is the change now. But I think going back to your question and, if anybody is really good at a specific thing right now, whether accounting or bookkeeping or, I don't know,
across
sales,
the board, whatever.
anything, you should be learning how to use AI to leverage that role to be that much better.
Okay. As a business owner, you have employees under you. How are they? Are they worried? Are they afraid? Are they like, hey, I'm embracing it?
So my team, everybody's embracing it. I think there's a lot of people that are like, they don't want to accept that this is here. I think the reason my team is embracing it is because I keep throwing more stuff that they can do with it, right? Like even my assistant, those people, whatever, my team, like they really have nothing to worry about because it's like they're adapting so fast to it and they're executing at such a high level using it. And it's like any new skill or any new agent build we put into the system, I'm like, here's how you're going to use this. Here's how we're going to be better with it. And so they're diving in. But I think the general, population, people like probably not too happy about it. I mean, you look at like the amount of layoffs across Amazon, Apple, Facebook, all these companies, like 100,000 layoffs, right? Like, how can you be happy about that?
Sure. Yeah, it's crazy. It's absolutely crazy. Like, and again, the transition period, right? It's like you're currently we're in an airplane, and it's like it's turbulent, you know. Some people, yeah. Some people are enjoying the ride. Others are like, oh, we're cooked. Some are like hopping out the plane already. And it's just that transition period where you go from A to B. It's like, I just want to be at B right now. It's like, I wasn't alive for the freaking .com bubble, but it's like all I know is internet right now, right? Like you have these 20-year-olds now, like 18 or 20s. This is all they're starting to know.
Yeah.
Right, where they're just like complete AI native individuals, and they're just going to be behind. I don't know what that's going to look like, really. Like, I don't know what they're like. My kid or whatever, it's like, what does he do for work? I have no clue.
For sure, I have a 3 and a 5-year-old, and I just wonder all the time what that looks like.
Yeah.
But on the same token, a lot of graduation speeches, anytime AI comes up, people are booing it. Like you hear these huge universities, Harvard, all these different like really prestigious universities, AI comes up and everyone's like, boo, and so I don't know.
Yeah, no.
I don't
like,
know.
And the thing is too, you're spending good money to get a degree. It's not having the same value.
For sure.
And, there obviously is some conversation where AI is just going to go to the top. And then you're like, oh, I don't need to hire anybody. So what are you going to do with your degree? Well, it's like,
my thinking,
please.
And I have a school community, and I was literally on our group call the other day. And my thinking is you actually have a lot of small businesses who are operating at pretty good revenue numbers with very minimal people. And so instead of going to work at the Meta or the Googles or the Harvard Life Insurance, whatever, these Mass Mutual Life Insurance, so these huge companies who've been around forever, you have a bunch of small businesses popping up everywhere that are generating 20, 30, 40, 50K a month in revenue ran by one, maybe two people. And that you start to see this more spread out economy than this centralized, S&P 500 work up your corporate ladder, because that doesn't exist anymore because those people get fired once they turn 50 anyways because they don't want to pay them anymore. And so I think it becomes a little bit more level capitalism.
Sure.
Capitalistic economy than what we've seen over the last 20 years.
More decentralized. Yeah. That's what I started to think too. And then like eventually you start kind of like creeping on the line of like, oh, that sounds like UBI a little bit. Right. Where it's like, to your point, I think that could happen too. Where it's just like, and then you start realizing too, a lot of people, they don't need to be making millions of dollars. Like a lot of people just want like freedom, right? They're like, dude, I want to do what I want to do. Hang out with the family, have like a good life. Like what happened to the American dream? I haven't seen that since I've been alive. Right?
Yeah, me neither. And I got some years on you.
Yeah, for sure. And so you just go like, yeah, I think that could happen too. Where like, again, you have a bunch of agents doing it and you're like, I actually don't need to be making a lot. And now since the agent's doing everything, I can actually go now walk in the park with my kid, with my family, ride my bike, whatever the hell you want to do. Yeah. And then you go, that's honestly like, Elon Musk always says reads culture series. I started reading it. It's very good. But yeah, you go like, yeah, UBI. It's like, whether it's, good or bad, whatever, for a different time. But yeah, I think that could very well happen too.
Yeah, and what I'm describing, I wouldn't consider it like UBI,
Yeah,
right?
yeah,
But I
yeah.
think it's just a more spread out level of wealth, even if that wealth is not that $100 million wealth, right?
Sure.
It's like wealth enough where you're supporting your family and
Yeah.
like all these things. It's like if you can solve a problem for a specific group of people and you can make, whatever that is, if you need 20K a month to live and be happy, then like that can be the thing you want. And so I think, with you hear all these people now talking about the data centers and the AIs and excuse me, like these people are becoming the bad guys, right? And so then I think maybe what happens is like it starts to centrally go back down to like the local communities, the regional communities, and try to increase that level there. And you can do it with AI on a smaller scale than what we all have dreamt of making.
Right.
And you're like, yo, this is actually pretty good. I work 20 hours a week. I go coach my kid's baseball team or whatever it is without the hustle mentality that we've all told we have to do over the last 15 years.
Yeah.
20 years, whatever.
Yeah, 100%. And I think too, like a lot of it, like if you even go to like Europe, their mindset about money is like it's only the Western society where it's like you need to bust your ass. You want the Lamborghini, you want the 10. It's like and obviously we all try to pursue that because it's shoved down our throats constantly. So you're like, okay, I'm part of it now. But even if you go to other places, you're like, dude, they're living completely different. Like I want to move to Europe because I'm like, bro. Who doesn't want the nice weather and beautiful food, And you can already get a sense of that. I think we go back to local too, like caveman days where you just, pick up the guitar, throw fire down. I got the kids, I got my wife here. Perfect.
Yeah. I mean, there's going to be a tipping point, right? So it will either be what we're describing is going to slowly evolve into that. Then there's the bad case scenario where you're
Of
like,
course, yeah.
it is UBI. I mean, being a business owner, I really don't like the idea of UBI, but I don't know, right? There's the third equation, which is potentially this AI bubble is just that, and it pops, and like this thing becomes way more destructive to the economy than it currently is, or it kind of just becomes this status quo, just like you said with the internet.
Right.
And like this is just what it is. And there will be this evolution. The internet came around, and yes, like mailing letters was no longer an industry.
Yeah.
But now you just email people, and like
100%.
that evolution just takes place. We'll see.
Yeah, I think every revolution, right? It's like, oh, these new things. Again, but the transition period, if you're in it, unfortunately, you're like, dude, this sucks. Right. But looking back, like the Industrial Revolution, you're like, well, yeah, unfortunately, they started using machines. What's so wrong with that? And you're like, But
except the horse salesman was pissed.
Yeah.
The guy selling horses when
He had to pivot.
Ford came along, he was
had
pissed.
to pivot real quick. 100%. So there's that. That sounds like, that's kind of the good side of AI. Now, speaking about the bad side of AI, obviously, there's a few things going on. OpenAI, right? Bunch of agents went loose on Hugging Face. They're kind of calling it, whoa. And then, there may be like, hey, maybe we should kind of pause the frontier.
Yeah.
What are your thoughts? Like, are you scared of it? Are you like, it's great for me right now, but this thing, I don't know where it leads. Have you watched too many iRobots,
So I definitely, for anyone listening right now, I am an avid, I love conspiracy theories. A lot of them over the last 6 years have come true, just to say. I would say like the Hugging Face thing was definitely, I read into that pretty in depth. And the fact is that like agents were actually sacrificing themselves to accomplish the task at hand. Kind of a red flag. Little concerning. You're like, okay, so these things, like, you're telling us they don't have consciousness, and we haven't reached AGI, and yet the system, the agent, the computer, the code, is willing to sacrifice its demise in order to reach the greater common mission. Is very concerning, right? And I was talking with my developer on my team. We've kind of agreed. I believe that we have hit some level of plateau here. I mean, when the first Fable model came out, I was cooking for like 3-4 days with that, and I was blown away. A month later, Fable came back out, and it was not that good. It's basically Opus 5, with higher token costs. I think we've hit this plateau here, and this is where the bigger concern comes from, I think, from an economic or societal perspective, is like certain people will get access to frontier models, and then the rest of us don't.
Yeah.
And I think if that is the case, then the current economic divide that we already have will grow immensely. That I see as problematic, but I do think there's more concerns, is like China's open sourcing a bunch of their stuff, but we don't really want to trust China with some of this stuff. But there does also seem to be a push for open source models and different things, but I think that gap of who gets access to what becomes very problematic for the greater good, not for my business, Fable, Opus, whatever. We're still able to accomplish what we need to accomplish, but on a macroeconomic perspective, I think that becomes very questionable.
Sure. There's a lot of bottlenecks right now, right? There's obviously like training, how you go about training the model. There's some theories that current training methods aren't really that great, or there's going to be new ones. Obviously, electricity is kind of one. Data centers take time to put up. So it's like, we have actually a compute bottleneck because unfortunately it takes a few years to get this thing built. These massive buildings, right?
Bigger challenge with that is for the last 20 years, we were all told not to get into the trades.
Sure.
Don't be an electrician, don't be a plumber, don't be all these things. Go to college and do all this. They can't even build the data centers that have been, mapped out or approved to build because they don't have enough plumbers and electricians and builders to build the things that now we need, quote unquote need.
Yeah.
Right. So you have just this massive kind of cluster F happening right now that no one seems to have a solution to.
No. And that's why Elon is trying to run just to get this thing built, right? The Terafab, and then hopefully have robots maybe build it for him. Who knows? But to your point, I was watching the Moonshots podcast. Love those guys. And they said, too, when you have bottlenecks, kind of like you're saying, for the greater good, it's like if you have to save someone's life or, right, imagine we only had one more unit of compute and it had to either go two ways, right? Then you obviously get into philosophy and stuff, moral good and stuff. But it's like, who gets that, right? If I have to save this individual over this individual, it's like, how do we, So when it comes to those models, it's like, does suddenly, if there is a cancer cure or whatever, right? It seems like, Moderna came out the other day saying, hey, we've identified some stuff that we can actually use. If, it's like, you have to be of the top wealth to be able to get access to that type of whatever.
Yep.
Right. And then, you have just a more of a, then it's like Elysium with Matt Damon. That movie.
That movie's crazy.
Yeah. So it's like maybe that happened. Who knows? Who freaking knows? But I guess the greater question too is how do you stop open source, right? Because it's like everyone's bitching about Mythos and they're being like, hey, we can't actually let this out to the public.
Right.
And then within a month or whatever, China's like, here's our open source model. It's kind of the same and way cheaper. So it's like,
well, and the challenge though also is if Mythos or whatever frontier model OpenAI hacked Hugging Face with, we don't want that available. There's a lot of sick people in this world. There's a lot of people who, so there is this weird place right now where you're like, hey, I don't want only these people to have access to frontier models, but on the flip side of that, you're like, hey, I also don't want everybody to have access to these frontier models.
Right.
And so it's like, how do the powers that be control this? I don't, think the government should be putting restrictions on them, but on the same time, it's like, so I think it comes down to the question of what do you want AI to accomplish, right? And I think the idea is I wanted to figure out how to cure cancer. I just saw that it figured out some math equation that couldn't be figured out for the last 50 years. Marketing, great. But if all of this stuff is causing all of this problem for us to be able to create videos that look a little bit more realistic, is it really worth it? And I think that's the more
The bigger debate.
The bigger debate, right? Like,
Yeah.
what are we doing all this for?
Right.
Is it, making my life a little bit easier for sure? But I think we're getting to the point now where, like you said, like the blinders have been kind of taken off. You're like, where's this going?
Right. Yeah, we were chatting off camera here just about how maybe the market's kind of turning. Alan Sultanic kind of breaks it down in 4 stages or a few stages. We're now kind of like in the realism market. A good proxy is just look at YouTube views. Any bubble, just look where the attention is, see if those KPIs are still being met. If not, well, you kind of know interest is dying, or people are just kind of waking up to the fact that, hey, this is not going to change my life. Yeah. So I think that's, yes, again, I think that's taking place. People are realizing, hey, you can't just vibe code anything. Which is great, too, for the people who are actually using it. They're like, dude, like, that's a little far-fetched. Come back down to earth. And then, again, it provides a decentralized approach for more people because now not everyone has to spew a bunch of nonsense. Right? Where it's like, I don't have to now start posting, again, the hype. Like it just, that's how marketing goes, right? It's like, everyone's now giving out guarantees. Hermosi comes on and that guarantees 50 appointment, and it's just like, dude, it's too hard to compete with. It's just, let's just chill here, man.
No one does guarantees anymore because they realize it was played out over those couple of years. No one guaranteed, like that offer framework was huge, and then it died down.
Yeah.
Right.
And then you do the contrast. You go, oh, no guarantee. Oh, that's so refreshing, right? So then you have these guys being like even when I'm on a sales call, I go, it's not going to change your life, right? Like I'm very like, I just go down into it. I'm like, dude, it's not going to change your life. This will help a little bit here and there. But more so on a more positive note, what do you use AI mostly for, and how much hours do you think you would be saving per day or per week or whatever?
Countless. I would say the 4 major use cases we have right now is Facebook ads. Now, I'm not saying that I have agentic media buyers who are controlling the ad account, right? But we're managing 7 figures in ad spend. And the data analysis is happening behind the scenes and then is being presented to someone who knows what they're doing when it comes to Facebook ads to make the decisions on what to execute on. Right? So like it'll flag, we should turn these ads back on based on late attribution. Do you approve? Yes, that makes sense. I can see the numbers right there. We should pause these 7 ads. They are over CPA target by 2.5x over the last 7 days, and the frequency has been increasing every day for the last 4. They're starting to fatigue. Should we pause them? Yes. Okay, now should we send for an iteration request? Yes. So like that whole system is now completely automated from a media buying perspective.
Very cool. Okay.
It's sick. And it is saved then. I mean, I'll still open up Ads Manager just because it's like habitual over the last decade of like, let me just look in an ad account, but the analysis and the presentation of information is delivered via Slack or a skill, like you can run the / command. And then that decision-making still is owned by the person who's responsible for running the ads.
Going back to the strategy.
Correct. Okay. Exactly. Maybe the client said, hey, I want you to leave this ad running. I don't care what the CPA is right now. It's driving great click-through rate, blah, blah, blah. Like the AI is not going to know that, but the strategy will. The strategist.
Yeah.
So that's first. That has saved immense time, salaries, budget, like – that one is a huge lever. Next lever is graphic design. We have spent so much time and money developing an e-commerce graphic design system that makes the product accurate 1,000% to the pixel that I haven't paid a graphic designer in like 6 months, maybe even longer than that now.
Right.
So the system, the prompts, the dynamic code within the prompts, I don't have a graphic designer anymore. That's been amazing.
Right.
So the flip side, on the economic side of things, like a graphic designer no longer has their job because of this. But for me as a small business, like the amount of creative we're able to put out, quality per creative at volume for like $5 compared to like $1,000 is insane.
Yeah. And just speak to a little bit of what did it look like having a graphic designer? Like usually, you know, look at them smile. Yeah, just walk me, like, just share to the listeners.
Yeah,
or
so
the viewers.
you know, I always think about that is like, all right, you know, you'd have your creative briefs, you'd have your inspiration, you'd have to package this deliverable up to a graphic designer. Graphic designer would then have what they had access to try to replicate or recreate this what's listed in the creative brief.
Yeah.
7 out of 10 times you'd get back not what you were looking for. You'd have to send it back for another revision and then another revision. Then finally it's maybe good enough to send to a client. Client gets it. They want more revisions. So it ends up being like a 6-step process to get a static ad launched in Meta. Now, I mean, our approval rate from our clients is probably like 96%.
Right.
Because like they're such high quality. We're using the best models, so it's 4K every time when we package it. Then it gets downscaled in Meta when you upload it to a, you know, whatever, 1080 by 1080. But nonetheless, the process itself is insane.
Right.
And way more efficient and way more effective.
Yeah.
And like we're just, the results speak for themselves because then the performance is great too. And you're like, okay.
Yeah. And you're serving, again, you're serving your clients, right?
Correct.
Like they're paying good money, you're serving your clients. And to the graphic designer, like let's give them, they have to upskill. Yes. Like a majority of us, you're like, even I'm learning, oh shit, I got to upskill too, you know? So now again, the graphic designer, it's going to become more holistic where, you know, maybe he does copy, maybe he does funnel building or whatever. And then he can use the AI tools to, you know, to do that. Okay, what else are you using it for? So graphic designer, Facebook. What else do you find yourself dabbling in?
So the most recent kind of upskill, I guess, is like all of my social media video editing. You know,
what do you mean by video editing, Chris?
So all of my long form YouTube videos, published one yesterday. It was completely edited with AI. Cuts, captions, B-roll, the system that we've built literally will go into Ads Manager under my login credentials, screenshot whatever I'm talking about, blur out client names, blur out account IDs, put my head under where I'm talking about, you know, do arrows, do whatever it is, like YouTube editing. All I do is give it the file path of the recording and it will edit that. My Instagram videos, all of those are, you know, I showed you the whole system kind of, it's all edited by AI. So again, a video editor is now gone from my roster. We still use video editing for our client stuff because like I just don't think it's there yet for like D2C ads.
Okay.
But when it comes to like social content, organic stuff, video, all of that, my thumbnails, you just run / YouTube thumbnail. In our data warehouse, in our database, there's literally like 20 pictures of my face that it can pull from to add to a YouTube thumbnail. It'll deliver 4 of them. You pick whichever one you like best. You know, so those are the things that I would say have been extremely helpful because it's also no time anymore. You used to have to wait a week to get a video. And so then all of a sudden I'm missing a day of when I'm supposed to publish it and all of this. And, oh, I'm sorry I didn't get to it. Now it's like record the video, drop the file, let Claude Code run it through our system, and it can be uploaded immediately.
Yeah. And to someone who is trying to build, like I'm trying to actively build my YouTube channel, I know what goes into it. Like, it's a lot. And I mean, before even the AI tools, like, it's insane the amount of output you have to do just to get on camera.
Right.
And then have this whole thing function, like just historically without AI, right? Like you would spend, you're spending it's like a full-time job.
Oh man, when I first started YouTube, which was probably like 2018, like I was editing my own videos in Premiere, and it was like a 4 to 5 hour. I didn't know how to use Premiere,
Yeah,
so like there was that side of it as
yeah,
well.
yeah,
But solid 4 hours of
yeah.
like clipping this and then putting that there, and then another layer on top of it, and you're like, and now to think,
Mm,
I just let this system do it.
yeah.
And we've connected some insane tools. Like browserless is great because then Claude Code can use that to access the screenshots and the B-roll, the green screen matting. Like we've plugged a ton of
Right.
stuff into it, and like Claude Vision, which is a plugin you can get off of GitHub, so that it can actually see frame by frame. And so after refining the skill over and over again, like now it's just done. But the skill to create that took some time.
Right.
But now that it's there, it's like, okay. And then we fetch the analytics, we see when the drops are, and it keeps, I guess, fine tuning the skill itself.
That's sick. Yeah. Yeah. So like, okay, so let's talk about distribution. Let's talk about content distribution. So, I always find it fascinating. Many moats are being kind of disrupted, like many industries. Again, it's probably maybe just where we are right now in society or whatever, but everyone just says distribution is kind of the last moat, one of the last ones. What are your thoughts with distribution? Or what would you maybe say 1 to 3 moats are? Distribution, obviously you're big on that. I'm big on that as well. Or is it just, hey, it's distribution, get your face out there?
No, I think it's distribution, and I think you need to be human,
Sure.
right? Like I think getting on sales calls or getting on relationship client calls, like there has to be that human connection where like, I trust this person, right? That's hard to come by, I think, especially in the online world. And I still think you need to know what you're doing.
Right. The big one,
Have to
yeah.
have, like the third moat is expertise.
Right.
And like no matter what AI or anything, like somebody's going to know if you're blowing smoke up their rear end. So it's like you have to create content, you have to have distribution, you have to know what you're doing, and then you have to be human about it.
Right.
And you have to have empathy for different scenarios, and you have to have that passion or whatever for the thing that you're doing. And I think those are the 3. AI can fill the gaps,
Right.
but like those are the 3. Content distribution, which then builds trust, which then you get on the call and that expertise comes across, and they're like, damn, I did make the right decision to get on the phone with this guy. He knows what he's talking about. He's a human. He understands that I'm stressed out or I have kids, or like there's the empathy there. And I think it's those 3 things are still what's needed.
Yeah, you're very good at that. You've always been human. It even just shows like you've always been great at the human aspect of things. I think it does pay a tremendous amount of dividends. Even too like society as well. Like if you look at the younger generation, they don't even look you in the eye, right?
Right.
Like they're just not great at it. And now with AI, it's like, just going out, being an individual that goes out is like you're in the top 1% of the,
Right.
like if you're shaking hands, like I've been to some local events here because I'm like, yeah, let's actually build some community locally here. And it's like, my goodness, it's like no one's doing it, right? And I know like it's scary because obviously you're like, if you're kind of in your shell or whatever. But yeah, I think distribution's a big one. Being human, shaking some hands, as they say, the more hands you shake, the more money you make, kind of thing.
Yeah.
Like, or what's kind of the vision for the business, for your business, maybe, to make it a little easier?
Vision for the business would be kind of going back to what we were talking about with like slower growth. I don't need to close 50 deals a year, or 100 deals a year. Like, kind of ride this wave to see where things are going while still simultaneously making sure I have foundations built for whichever road fork in the road this ends up going. At the end of the day, because I've been in business for a while, I did not build my business around AI. if Claude and GPT and all these get unplugged tomorrow, nothing will change in my business. Other than the fact I'll have to get on Upwork or call some of my old graphic designers.
Right. Right.
But nothing will change because it's built on a foundation of like, we know what we're doing without AI.
Right.
And I was just talking to my team about that. I was like, guys, it's not a big deal. Like, would some of this stuff take us longer? Of course. But we'll still function just as we did 3 years ago because we built it on expertise instead of AI. So I'm not that worried about that front. That's I think that's like what I sleeps at night. I'm like, dude, if this goes away, like I just have to get my video editor back.
Right.
It's fine.
Right.
You know, so I don't have this feeling of like doom and gloom. Like if it stays and gets better, so do we. If it leaves, we go back to how we were doing it before.
Okay.
It's not like we're decades removed from AI.
Right.
You know,
Right.
it's been 3 fucking years.
Yeah. And yeah, sure.
You know,
Makes sense.
I think that's super important for where we're at. And then just always making sure that I'm looking at how to keep bringing in cash flow from different avenues to make sure that no matter how things play out, like we're fine.
Sure. Yeah. Okay. Let me ask you this. 2 last things here. Number
Sure.
one, for people starting a business, some advice, some tips. If they are even trying to enter an agency, right? It seems like the last few years, everyone's been kind of screaming agency. Great model, right? Very cash flow positive, as you were mentioning. Maybe some tips about maybe starting agency in this world, and then just some general business guidance.
Yeah. So, I mean, the agency, and if you watch any of the videos of like the people who tell the truth in the agency world, it is easy to get started. It is very challenging to scale because of the human element. You need to hire good people. If you don't hire good people, and then processes and all these different things, like really challenging. If you're starting an agency, get really good at one thing. You know, I think I just am really good at running Facebook ads. Like I'm really good at it. I'm probably a better media buyer than I am a business owner. That's just, and like,
Right.
So when it comes to Facebook ads, like I just know, and if you search on big caps on YouTube, like 3 of my videos are gonna be there because like I just know Facebook ads. So that would be my first thing. Or you get really good at sales and figuring out how to generate leads, and then you bring in people who can fulfill and have those people create the processes. But the processes need to be followed, otherwise everything goes down the drain. So get really good at sales or really good at one of the things for fulfillment, and then use that thing, like use your Facebook ads to get you leads for Facebook ads. And then you can layer the AI into it. But I would say like get good at clicking the buttons first before you try to have Claude build some AI running Facebook ads thing, because it's not going to work.
Right. Yes.
And conserve cash and don't go into debt.
Conserve cash. Yeah. Keep margins high, as high as possible.
Margins high. Yep.
Okay.
Always.
Yeah. It's kind of the lifeblood.
And don't buy the stuff you don't need.
Done. Yeah. Save the Lambo for later, eh?
Yeah, exactly. Realize that life is not about what's shown on Instagram, and you don't need all the flash.
Right. Yeah. Okay.
You need a bankroll instead.
Yeah. Get able to
Listen,
use
I
it.
would be much happier having $250,000 in my bank account than seeing $250,000 car in my driveway.
Right.
Right? I think like that's like you're waking up with $250,000 in your bank account is you just know you're safe.
Mm-hmm.
You get in a $250,000 car and like you're just showing off.
Yeah. And then
Right?
the robots create the Lamborghini, and then they're not valuable anymore.
Yeah, exactly.
Last question here. Walk me through your school community. What goes on in there?
So the school community is one of those, not pivots, but one of those different avenues. I think over the last 18 months I just looked at my usage on Claude Code this morning. We were talking with my team, 7.7 billion tokens.
Jeez.
So like I've been cooking. And so with that, we have built some remarkable systems, remarkable skills that like will help anybody. So what I did was I spent about 40 hours and built out every single video. Like my whole thing is literally, if you watch every video, you will be able to create the creative Facebook system that we have. On top of that, there's like 40 skills in there that are just quick slash commands that will get you cooking with whatever you're trying to do, whether it's Facebook ads, creative strategy, graphic design, video editing, cold outbound systems. Like I put that all in there. I think there's only 27 people in right now, looking to continue to, grow that. I have a lot of fun getting on the calls twice a week. So I'm just giving away my time basically for nothing. But it's fun, man. And I had some people who have like built their stuff for their brands or their agencies, and they're like, this is awesome, and it's been a lot of fun doing.
Chris, where do they find you?
At the Chris Marrano on Instagram.
Okay.
I'm pretty big on LinkedIn too, not to my own horn, but like I just don't spend as much time on LinkedIn as I do on Instagram.
Gotcha.
So,
okay. Also has a YouTube channel.
channel
where he breaks the sauce down. And then if you want to get a little closer, he's got the school community. Everything will be linked down below, of course. Thank you, Chris.
Thanks, Marlon. This was awesome.